We know that Parshat Terumah, as well as Tetzaveh, a bit of Kitisa, Vayakel, Pekude, detail for us the different aspects that are found in the Mishkan, that were found in the tabernacle. And the Torah goes to great lengths to tell us the details of the material with which the articles were built, and how it was built, and how the craftsmen formed these articles, and then it repeats it over again in Vayakel Pekude. And obviously the question is, what is our mindset when we are learning these parshios? We're in shul during these weeks, we're studying these inyanim. It seems like there is an inordinate amount of time focused on the ideas connected to the Mishkan. And the question I'd like to ask ourselves is, what does it say to us for our individual lives? What should be going through our heads? What are certain thoughts that we should have? In particular, I'd like to focus in on the pasuk we've spoken about before, but from a different angle. Beginning of our parsha, Hashem spoke to Moshe saying, "Speak to the children of Israel and let them take for me a portion from every man whose heart motivates him. You shall take my portion." That the items that were donated, whether it was gold, silver, copper, etc., were given as a donation from the part that was the part of that motivates a person to give this as a Terumah, a gift to Hashem. And we need to understand what message is found inherent in that the Terumah, the different donations came from the Nediva slave, came from the giving of the heart of the children of Israel. Also, we find that this series of parshios always comes out Adar time, Nisan time. And we need to ask ourselves, what's the connection with that as well? Why is it, and it's not by accident, that certain things come out at certain times of the year? What is the connection to our parshios of the building of the Mishkan with Purim and with Adar, etc.? An overall approach, one that I don't want to go beyond just to mention, because I think it's fascinating and I think it deserves attention, is an essay Rav Belsky and Einei Yisrael points out, where he says in source number 2, he says, during the Ben Asmanim, the 3 weeks, which is the months of Tammuz and Av, our thoughts also turn to the Beis HaMikdash. But the atmosphere is one of mourning as we lament the loss of our holiest place. The approach is different during the months of Adar and Nisan. It's a time of rebirth, of growth and redemption. On Rosh Chodesh Adar, the shkolim for the Mishkan were donated. On Rosh Chodesh Nisan, the construction of the Mishkan was completed. We remember this each year by reading the 4 parshios, as we began last week, Parshat Shkolim, through Parshat Chodesh. This period of time, therefore, is the most auspicious time for our own in-depth study of the Mishkan and the Beis HaMikdash, may it speedily be rebuilt. Because this is the time when we're beginning to collect, or at least be machriz, that this is the time to collect for the shkolim, the half a shekel, to buy the korbanos, to buy money, to buy the sacrifices. It's a time we recall the Kamash HaMishkan, when the tabernacle was established. This is a time in the Jewish calendar year where the focus was the Mishkan, was the Beis HaMikdash. And he notes that it's not unusual for someone who has suffered the loss of a loved one, lo aleinu, to recall them and think about them daily. The more intimate the relationship, the more poignant and detailed are the memories. And this is how we should think of the Beis HaMikdash. The more we contemplate it, the more intimate our relationship with it becomes, the more we become attached to it. As our vision of the Mikdash takes form and our appreciation increases of the blessing and holiness it brought to our people and will bring us once again, we will feel an ever-increasing longing for the most coveted of treasures. In this way, we familiarize ourselves with the Mikdash even before it's built, and accustom ourselves to the radiance of Kedusha that will emanate from the Kodesh Kodashim. So says Rav Belsky, and I think it's an important point, that while we focus in on Ben Azmanim, on the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, and it's a very sad time, Adar is a very happy time. We're looking forward for the Beis HaMikdash to be rebuilt. And how do we show our desire and our intimate connection with this rebuilding of the Beis HaMikdash, learn about it, become familiarized with it. And Rav Belsky continues in source number 4 and 5 and says, it really behooves us every year to take a different aspect of the Mishkan, whether it's the Kior, whether it's the Aron, whether it's the Shulchan. Learn about it. Learn about its details. Familiarize ourselves with it. And every year, the more we learn about it, the more we become connected to it, the more we long and yearn for the rebuilding. So while the yearning and longing in the summer is one of sadness, this is really one of hope, one of desire for it to be rebuilt from a point of happiness, from a point of the other Nisan time of year. And he says in source number 5 in the asterisk, when we study this Parsha, we must try and activate this great love and desire in our hearts to see the Beis HaMikdash rebuilt, especially now when we languish in the depths of a longing and arduous galus. We feel the redemption to be so far away. But as we begin to depend